Hello boys and girls, my name is Miss Rahilly, and for our science lesson today we're going to be focusing on carbon footprints and what those are and how those affect our climate, the Earth's climate, and how it affects us individually. I want to direct your attention to the screen next to me as we're going to break down the definition of a carbon footprint so it's very easy for you guys to understand. So a carbon footprint. What is a carbon footprint? The formal definition of a carbon footprint is the amount of CO2 and other carbon compounds emitted due to the consumption of fossil fuels by a particular person or group. So we're going to break down this definition into small pieces and chunks so that you guys can understand what it means. The first chunk is going to be amount of CO2 and other carbon compounds. So what is CO2? CO2 is a greenhouse gas. And what this means is it's a gas that's released into the atmosphere that traps and keeps heat from escaping Earth. So there's heat that comes down from the sun, hits the Earth, and then wants to bounce back up. But these gases stop the heat from escaping the Earth, which essentially heats up the Earth and makes it really, really hot. And it can get to dangerous levels of hot. The second part that we're going to talk about is the word emitted. Emitted is kind of a complicated word. Basically, what it means is that these carbon compounds are being emitted into the air. They're being added to the air. They're being put into the atmosphere. The other part of the definition we're going to break down is due to consumption of fossil fuels. What does that mean? The burning of fossil fuels is what helps us create electricity and energy that we use every single day in our houses. So when we use electricity, we are consuming fossil fuels, which is then adding carbon to the atmosphere. The last part of the definition that we're going to break down is by a particular person or group. For this lesson, we're going to be talking about a particular person, which is you guys. What you're going to be doing is figuring out what your carbon footprint is. How much carbon are you adding to the atmosphere through any kind of activities that you do, how you travel to school, what you eat. We're going to calculate that, and we're going to see how each of us are contributing to heating up the planet. So in the previous slide, we talked about fossil fuels and consuming fossil fuels. So what does this mean exactly? Fossil fuels and consuming fossil fuels comes from power plants. Now, power plants, as you can see in this picture, are machines that are used to generate electricity. So these power plants emit, we talked about that word earlier, meaning they add to or they're putting into the atmosphere, they emit carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, which we talked about earlier as well. It traps heat in the Earth. It doesn't allow it to escape. So whenever we use electricity from the power plants emit more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, trapping more heat and it causes the Earth's temperature to increase. So if we keep using electricity and keep emitting carbon dioxide, the Earth's temperature can increase to dangerous levels. So in the previous slide, we talked about something called fossil fuels and consuming fossil fuels and how adding all this carbon dioxide heats up the Earth. So why is it so bad that we are heating up the Earth? Here are a couple of the most important reasons why it's bad that we're doing this. The first reason is that it's destroying animal habitats. As you can see in this picture here, this polar bear's environment, the ice, is melting because of the heat that's being added to the Earth. So his habitat, where he's living, is being destroyed. Which leads us into our second biggest reason. It's killing animal species, which is often linked with destroying animal habitats. The third reason is natural disasters. So the warm temperature, the increase of the Earth's temperature is making our climates more suitable for extreme natural disasters to occur. Some of these natural disasters include floods, droughts, heat waves, and really strong hurricanes. And there are many other reasons why heating up the Earth is bad, but these are just some of the most important ones. So we've been talking about this thing of carbon footprint and a person's carbon footprint. So we're actually going to calculate each of your guys' carbon footprints today. We're going to be using a website that asks you a bunch of different questions about how you travel and what you eat, that is going to put it all together in a database, and it's going to tell you, give you an actual number that shows you what your carbon footprint is. So when I say so, you guys are all going to go get your iPads, and you're going to go to a website that's youth.zerofootprint.net, and you're going to complete this survey based on how you guys use and travel and eat. I will go through the quiz first so you guys can see how it works. I'm going to answer all the questions based on what I do, and then it's going to give me my carbon footprint. And you guys are going to notice in the quiz that after you answer a certain section of questions, they're going to give you a list of things that you can do to help the planet. I want you guys to get out a separate piece of paper and a pencil, and as you're doing the quiz, I want you to write 3 or 4 of the most interesting things that you think that you can do to help the planet. So this is the website we're going to be using. It's youth.zerofootprint.net. This is what the website's going to look like when you first open it. You're going to go click on Get Started. It's going to ask you, here we go, if you have a username or if you're new. I think most of you are new, so I'm going to click I'm new. It's going to ask you for your nickname. I'm going to put in Miss Rahilly. Register me. It's going to ask me if I'm a boy or a girl. I'm going to go girl. And my birth date, March 8th, 1996. In my school, I'm going to put in my college, which is San Diego State University. You guys can put in the elementary school. So it's loading. So these are the sections that it asks you. It asks you about your travel, asks about what you eat, how you use your home, what you use, and your waste. So the first question is, how do you get to school? So I bike to school. So I'm going to click bike. And then I'm going to go to next. How long does it take you to get to school? I'm going to say 10 minutes. Next. And remember, you guys are basing this off of how you get to school and how what you eat and everything. How do your parents go to work? My parents go by car. They drive themselves to work. Next. How long does it take your parents to go to work? I'm going to say about 30 minutes because that's what my parents have told me. And if you don't know, you can just try to estimate on what you think it is. So here, this is what I was talking about. The end of the sections, it gives you a couple things that you can do to help the planet. One of them is avoid using your air conditioner. So that means not constantly having your air conditioner pumping in your car. Another thing would be carpool, which is a lot of you guys know about. Carpooling and not having a bunch of people driving to the same place is always great. So we're going to click both of these. So I will try to avoid using air conditioning and carpool. I'm going to go to next. If you traveled outside our California or our district in the last month, how do you get there? I usually travel by car. So I'm going to press next. You guys answer however you think. And how long did it take you? I'm going to say it took me about 1 to 2 hours. So I'm going to click 1 to 2, but this is all based on what you guys are, what it was for you. If you can't remember, then just try to guess. What kind of food do you eat? Are you a vegan? Are you eating just vegetables? Are you vegetarian? Or do you eat everything? I eat everything. So I'm going to click everything. So look at here. Awesome. So it's telling me that ways I can help the environment is buy local or support farmers markets, cooking fuel, and eating less meat. So I'm going to click on all of these. I'm going to say, wow, these are all really great ideas. So I will try to do all of those. How often do you eat at fast food restaurants? I'm going to say about once per week. Next. So it actually helps to eat less fast food. It helps the planet eating less fast food. So I'm going to click yes. And it says purchase unpackaged and unprocessed food. So I'm going to click on that one. I will try to do both of those. How much soda do you drink? I'm going to say probably about 2 bottles or cans a week. This next one. So actually drinking less pop or carbonated drinks actually really helps the earth. So I'm going to click on this next one. How many people live in your home? I put 5. Next. Does your family have a weekend house or summer house or cottage? I'm going to put no. Remember, this is based on you. Does your family own a swimming pool? I'm going to put no. Does your family have a grass lawn that they need to take care of? I'm going to put yes. We have a lawn. Don't drown the lawn. So using too much water to water your lawn can actually hurt the planet a lot. And using a push mower also. You can read more details about each of these things if you guys find it interesting. Next. How does your family heat your home? I'm going to put electricity. But that's based on how your family heats it. And look at all these awesome ways. So adjusting your thermostat, not having your house too hot or too cold, using heating fuel, and checking your furnace filter. How often do you shower or take a bath? I'm going to say once per day. Adjust your water heater. So not having your water heater too hot will actually help save a lot of energy. How many times does your family do laundry a week? I'm going to say 2 times a week. How does your family wash their clothes? A front-loading washing machine, a top-loading washing machine, by a half automatic washing machine. I'm going to say by a front-loading washing machine. How does your family dry their laundry? I'm going to say we use a clothes dryer. How often do you brush your teeth? I'm going to do twice a day. Once in the morning, once at night. Do you leave the tap water on while you're brushing? I do. I probably shouldn't because that's not helping the planet. So that's something I'm going to keep in mind. Do you turn off the lights when you leave the room? I actually do that. My parents have trained me well. What do your light bulbs at home look like? If you don't know, if they're the swirly ones, they're the LED ones. If they're the they're most likely the fluorescent ones or the incandescent ones. Which of these do you or your family use more than 1 hour per day? So this is going to be very different for anyone else. For me, I'm going to say my computer, my TV, probably my air conditioner, my refrigerator for sure, my cell phone, and maybe my dishwasher. So I'm going to click next. So look at this. Okay, fill your dishwasher before you use it, making sure it's completely filled before you use a bunch of water and energy to clean your dishes. Buy Energy Star appliances, energy efficient appliances, and turn off your TV when you leave the room. Don't leave it playing if you're not watching. Next, how often do your parents get newspapers? We do not get newspapers anymore, so I'm going to click no, we don't get any. How is your lunch provided? Plastic bag, reusable lunch. If you get lunch by the school, you can click one of these. I use a reusable lunch box. So I'm going to click next. How often do your parents get magazines? My parents don't get any magazines anymore, so I'm going to pick none of that. How many 5 kilogram or 10 pound bags of garbage does your family put out each week? If you don't really know what a 10 pound bag of garbage is, you can just how many bags of garbage. That's fine. So I'm going to put 3 or 4. What do you and your family recycle? I know we recycle papers and cardboard, bottles and glass jars, and some plastic containers. Next, do you compost? I'm going to put no. Compost is collecting all of like your old or organics like foods or fruits, and composting it is kind of like recycling but for organic foods. So I'm going to put no. What type of container do you use when you go grocery shopping? Now that it is actually required in the California, everyone's required to use usable bags, so I'm going to click that. And then it says you can use compost instead of fertilizer if you're planting gardens or anything like that. And you can actually just compost your food scraps. So I'm going to click both of those and I'm going to go to my results. So it's calculating everything right now. And look at that. Oh my goodness. So my footprint is at an 8.01% and it needs to be reduced. My reductions that I actually, how I'm saving the planet is 1.04. The world average is about 5. So I am higher than the world average. Then you can also look at the total number of Earths used. This kind of breaks down how many Earths that we would have to go through if we kept doing what we're doing now. So for me, I have 3.5 Earths that I would need if everyone lived the way that I did. So that's the quiz that we're doing. So everyone get out your iPads and get in onto this website and wait for further instruction. So while you're doing the quiz, remember, you need to have a piece of paper and a pencil out. And as you're going through those sections, you need to write down about 3 or 4 different ways that the quiz suggests that you can help save the planet. It's going to be used for our activity. So first, you guys are going to do the quiz, and then we'll talk about the activity later. So now that you guys have completed your quizzes and gotten your carbon footprint number, we're going to move on to our next activity, which is called a My Promise poster. We're going to use mine as an example. So this is a My Promise poster. Basically, it's going to have your title, and it's going to have those 3 or 4 ways that you are going to help the environment that you wrote down from the quiz. It's going to have the title, My Promise Poster. You're going to write, I promise to, and you're going to write your 3 or 4 ways that you're going to help the environment, and you're going to add a diagram next to each way so you can kind of visualize it, and then you're going to sign it here on the bottom. So take about 10-15 minutes to complete this, and let me know if you have any questions. So now that we're done making our My Promise posters, we're going to review what we learned today. So we learned about carbon footprints, and we learned about how generating electricity through our power plants, the power plants make a bunch of CO2, and this CO2 stops heat from leaving the Earth, and it's heating up our planet. And we learned, why was this so bad? It's because it's destroying animals' habitats, it's actually killing off animals, and it's causing a lot of very strong and a lot more natural disasters, which can be very harmful to us as humans as well. So what can we do to help? We can always look back at our My Promise posters and look at the 3 or 4 reasons or 3 or 4 ways that we can help the planet. You guys are going to take home your posters with you so you can show your family and friends and remind them that we need to take care of this planet.